Hey guys, it's Angel. Welcome back to the channel, and today we're looking at something which I had completely missed. This came out at the start of June, and I had completely missed this. This is the Flysimware Grumman Widgeon. Now, I've heard reports it's not the best in terms of its texture or model quality. However, this is a plane that I truly have a real interest for. It's a seaplane, an amphibian, and they're exactly my kind of plane. Now, this one, I hadn't even noticed it come out because it didn't make any of the news sites. It made it to a couple of reports on avsim and flightsim.com, but that was it. I hadn't even noticed it. Now, the Widgeon was built first flew in 1940, I think. It was used by the US Navy, Coast Guard, Army Air Corps, even the Civil Air Patrol, who actually claimed to kill on a U-boat in World War II with one. Yeah. Now, it's not exactly a powerful aircraft. It can have 4 passengers plus pilot. It's got a wingspan of 40 feet. It cruises at 120 knots, so it has a range of about 800 nautical miles. It's not a big or crazy plane, but it's a fun little plane. Now, I will say, as we look inside for the very first time here, it's definitely FSX quality is where I'd put this. But at least it has some features like opening doors, windows, which is something that a lot of planes in 2020 just don't have. Now, to me, that's a cool feature, and this is one of the things that redeems this aircraft for me, and I will tell you why. Oh, that is cool. I can open the bow door. Huh. Now, this plane, from what I've read, is pretty feature-packed. Let's actually go to the proper exterior camera and take a look here as I try and... Okay, we're going to play that game where the camera doesn't actually want to pan. We'll go to this instead. Now, is it crack day or something? Why is nothing behaving itself? There we go. Now, it comes with some nice candy features like tie-downs, chocks, pitot covers, and I can tell you the textures are from their FSX version. Now, is this the end of the world? Now, I'm going to be quite critical because this is a $30 product. Yes, it uses PBR materials and it has 4K textures, but the FSX one had 4K textures. And honestly, they do lack a little bit. I'm going to be honest. They lack a little bit. They lack a fair bit. But they're not intolerable. I'll give it that. That bothers me. But then again, it does want you... That's actually correct, because it does want you to step here on the fuselage and then onto the solid wing, not the flap. So that's actually accurate. That's not a mistexture. That is actually accurate. That's where you would walk. So you climb out from the door there, up to the top. Now, what camera angles do we have in this? We have instrumentation. We have panel. So not a lot. Now, we have apparently got interactive checklists and functions here. Now, I would have read the manual. But Flysimware, if you're watching this, your website's junk. It's almost impossible to download the manual. Which does suck a little bit. Now, compare this to the only other amphibian out there, the proper amphibian, the Grumman Goose, the Goose Redux, by the amazing freeware people that created that. That aircraft is limited as well by FSX, and that's a nice ability to hide the yoke there. It is limited by being an FSX model, basically a base model. This is not, which does mean it has a couple more candy features to it, which are quite nice. Can I open the door from here? Yes, I can. That is cool. So we can actually open the doors and functions, and if I release the parking brake... Okay, I thought the chocks would actually go away, but they don't. So we'll close the door here. The click spots are actually very good and very reachable. You've got your seats back here. Now, we have got, of course, 6 repaints for it. We've got Navy, we've got Coast Guard, Civilian, and Army Air Corps. The last one, don't worry about that. It's a janky repaint that I installed. But overall, oh, here's our checklist. Where do I click on you? Oh, no. I look down here. Oh, I have to zoom in. Okay. So that's a realistic hydraulic system. We have tie-downs, engine plugs, and wheel chocks. Okay. Not complicated, but I would read the manual if I could actually download the manual. Flysimware. Would be nice if I could have picked that up. So let's start this baby up and take her out for a little spin. We'll take her out to the water and we'll take her around. Now, again, haven't read the manual because can't get the manual. So, parking brake is on. Let's look to the overhead. Let's get our fuel pumps on. So alternator. I need to learn the plane myself while I'm sitting here talking to you. Beacon is on. Mags are set to both. Okay, that's our gear. That's our lock up function. Tail wheel control. I'm looking for a fuel cock. There should probably be a fuel cock somewhere. That is our engine mixture. Crack the throttle. Here's our fuel valves. And we'll leave those to there. Now this should let us just start up. These are inline engines rather than radials. We have good start. Pumps are off. Okay. We've got our amps up. We have electronics on. Aircraft is responding. And instrumentation looks good. So, let's take her out for a taxi, shall we? Now, being a tail dragger, you are a little bit limited in visibility, of course. Are we going to move forwards? We're not. Pretty sure the parking brake is somehow stuck on. It was. And I'm pretty sure I need to turn on the tailwheel steering. Oh god, that's a helicopter. But it's a Flysim helicopter, so I'm going to ignore it for now. Okay, this doesn't want to turn. I think we have a castering tailwheel. Duh! Yep, that's a factor. Oh god. Duh. That's our trim. You don't want to turn, do you? I know one of the update patches actually adds tailwheel steering, which would have been nice. But for now, I'm going to have to use a little bit of this. But I'm stuck in a building. So, let's just back it up, shall we? This is where you need differential throttle or the tailwheel steering ability for the aircraft. Which would have been nice to install beforehand, but I just got this and I noticed there was a patch. I assume the latest version they'd have available on their website for download, if you purchase it, and you can only purchase it from Flysimware's website, would be the full version with, you know, any recent patches. Turns out it's not. Come on, please turn. That's it. Ground handling is very hard. Very hard. Okay, we're locked. Okay, that was what it was doing. Okay, that's better. Turns out I am just an idiot. But we knew that. Okay, so with a little differential braking, I can actually just about manage to steer this thing. We're going to kill a van. I'm okay with this. It's only a van. Okay, so we'll get ourselves out to the runway here, and we should have a lot more authority in the air. So it's an interesting experience, but you will need to use differential braking to steer this thing out. And she does behave herself eventually. So we'll set flaps for takeoff, and we're going to head out to the lake, or the fjord, I should say, by Bellacoola here. Give it a bit of toe brake there, and we'll line up on the runway. So far it's an interesting journey, but it's not an imperfect one. Power to 25 inches manifold. Placid to get the tail up. No huge amounts of torque, but they aren't incredibly powerful engines. Gently climbs off the runway. Flaps and gear retract nicely. Aircraft is well behaved from what I see so far. Very simple to fly. Nothing overcomplicated. Okay. I'll give her a little bit of trim. Now, the instruments down here don't look phenomenal. They definitely replaced modern ones, and if I look a little bit closer, I'm pretty sure, whilst they are 3D, they're a direct copy of the original kind of Flight Sim X ones. Flysimware stuff has been known to be very feature-rich, but not the highest quality in terms of fidelity. Could this be made to look a lot better? Yes, it could, but is it the worst? I don't think so. Like, this could be a lot worse. It's not bad. For $30, it's a bit much, though. I don't think it's a $30 product. Now, there's been a lot that's come out recently for $30 in terms of flight sim products. I think this is overpriced. For what is essentially a rehash and an update of their FSX model, it feels like a cash-in. Which, they are the developer, they technically have a right to, but I do think it's a lot for what you get. Now, if you're like me and you're a bush pilot who enjoys flying things like float planes and tundra tires, are you going to drop $30 on this? I'd say yeah, you probably are. Because it's the kind of plane you want to fly, and we haven't got a ton of options. So unfortunately, we are a captive market for this sort of thing. Unfortunately, there aren't a lot of options out here, and I think the Grumman Goose isn't a bad option, the Goose Redux. It does lack some of the candy features this one offers, which are quite nice, but they're not the end of the world. If you don't want to spend the $30 or you're tight on money and it's something you'd have to really decide about, I'd save your $30 and buy the Coronado 170 that's coming with the bush tires, and I would use the Aussie X Goose Redux. I love seaplanes, so this was an easy option for me. $30 is expensive, but it was something I was willing to spend because I like these kind of aeroplanes. And we're going to bring her in for a water landing here and see how she behaves. I will say, flight dynamics-wise, she is incredibly nice. Flight dynamics is something that Flysimware have been known for, and they have gotten this feeling good. It feels natural. It feels very stable, being a high-wing but low-powered monoplane seaplane. And it definitely feels that way. So we're going to kill our power here and drift down towards the lake. Now, we do seem to be floating a little bit, but this aircraft is, again, a high-wing, large surface area aircraft. I mean, look at this. Those are pretty big for its size. And for a little patrol craft, this could definitely do a very good job at that. Bring her in past the town of Bellacoola here. Got the ferry out there. Dropping her in over the fjord. We'll buzz a fishing boat and then we'll come into land. Hey guys, hope you're not doing anything delicate. You're about to get a visitor. Oh, hi! Looks like the lake's very glassy for us today, which could make things a bit more challenging. In fact, it will make things more challenging. So keep an eye on my vertical speed indicator here. Okay, I've got some surface texture. There's ripples, but it's not a lot. So it's not quite glassy, but it's not good. So I'm going to put some flaps in here. 2 notches down. I've got about 150 feet below me. Give it some power here to bring the nose up for a more gentle landing. We've got a lot of water to play with, so we don't want to screw around. We're just dunking this in. As you get a little bit closer, you'll see some of the surface detail of the water, which lets you kind of pick out the altitude you're at. Keep an eye on the horizon, keep the nose slightly up. And we'll bring her down. Got about 80 feet here. Cut the power, keep the nose held. Nice, gentle touchdown. Now, from what we see in the next patch, the major update that comes on the at the end of July, and the transition to also available on console, you'll notice that whilst we don't have wake effects here, those are shown. So with the update to DX12, there's a good chance we will have wake effects in 2020. Microsoft Flight Simulator, meaning that seaplanes will be so much cooler and more realistic, because right now it looks a little sad when you don't have anything. Now in terms of their water contact points, this is good because it's actually resting on its float. In fact, if I... Can I roll to the other side? I can't. I can force it a little bit further down, but can I force it to the float? There we go. That wobbles nicely. How does it take off on water? Let's go to 25 inches here. Give it 1 degree of flap down. We'll hold the nose. Give it a little bit of push forward to get on the step. There we go, a little bump. Speed's going to pick up and we're going to pull away. That was well behaved. That was really well behaved. I like that. That was responsive. It behaved itself and it acted exactly the way I wanted it to. Now we'll take her back here, we'll land at Bella Cooler and we'll see what she's like putting down on ground. But overall, as I stall slightly there from a very sharp turn to the side. Power on here. Again, my major gripe with this aircraft is the quality. It's support from their FSX one. Yes, it's got native materials. Yes, it's got 4K textures, but the 4K textures aren't phenomenal. Like, this sim and the lighting engine makes up for a lot. This does leave something to be desired, if I'm honest. It's not terrible. Like, I could happily fly this all day long. And I will. I will fly this a lot. This will become one of those aircraft that's in my personal stable of aircraft that I fly. I have no qualms with that. The little candy features are really nice. They give you lots of functionality. It's really cool to see a lot of these little features in there that just give you playability with the aircraft and roleplay factors when you're out doing your little flights. It's got the controls and functions I need from it. It's got good systems, it flies well, and it doesn't look terrible. Now, to me, was this worth $30? To me, as a bush pilot who loves float planes, yes, this is worth every penny of $30. Could it be better? Yeah. Have they promised that they're going to update it and they're going to make things better? Yes, they have. Is it perhaps worth it to a casual person who just wants to fly nice planes? No, if you just want to fly a seaplane, either fly the freeware Cessna on floats, the 172, or fly the float versions of the Cub X that are out from this on flysim.to, or you can fly the Goose Redux, which was the massive texture overhaul and flight sim dynamics overhaul, systems overhaul of the FSX standard Goose, and that was amazing. It's out there for 3D. Yes, it's a port over. This is technically native. It's the same model and textures from their FSX version, but it's remade native. Now, it's not a port. It's the same base model, the same textures, yes, on the same mapping, because that's an easy thing to do for developers, but it is not a port over. People confuse the two things. There are lots of FSX developers who have converted their aircraft to 2020, but they are not port overs. I need that to be clear. They're not port overs because they've been created natively in the right materials, so they're native models, they're just not new textures or model shapes. Right, so our field's up ahead of us here. Should make for a nice easy approach. Coming in here over the valley. That's it, 12 o'clock. Reduce speed. And bring her into about 100 knots. It's a very long, straight-in approach for an aircraft like this. We don't need a huge amount of space, actually. Notch more power there. Bit of nose-up trim. Let's try that over-the-nose look. One of the things I do like about this aircraft is your manifold pressure and your RPM is right there in front of you, as are the engine instruments. Your main six-pack is down there. When you're flying the aircraft, you're going to be mostly looking out the window. So you've got your engine instruments right in your view. You've got your directional gyro, which is exactly what you need to fly. Gear coming down. We'll go with one notch of flaps here. It's not a very long or powerful aircraft, not a very short runway. We should be good. Coming about 84 knots. We'll keep the throttle up here. We are definitely long on this approach. Very, very long. But this is behaving the way I'd expect it to. That is the big thing for me. This is behaving exactly the way I expect. Now, aside from the textures, which could be better, and the model that could be more detailed, and the website is total junk, and the manual I can't get to because it's on the total junk website that won't function properly. It's an interesting world, but as I said, if you're a casual person wanting to fly something that's pretty or fills other functions, this is not your aircraft. If you are into bush planes and you're into the smaller, older amphibians and seaplanes, you're gonna love this. Like, I know it's not perfect, but you will enjoy it. Like, compare this to the virtual cold planes I've reviewed, which I've reviewed for people's own sake of being able to see what they're like. This is miles ahead of that. Much, 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 much better. Is it a Coronado plane? No. No, it's not. Is it PMDG? No, it's not. But credit where it's due, it's not bad. But it wasn't bad in FSX, and it's still just not bad. But to me, it's something that I love and will fly because it fills that niche that I want. And until we have more, this'll do. I can tell they've put effort into it. I can tell they've put love into it. Talent varies, and ability varies, experience varies. It's one of those things. You have to factor that in. Have they put lots of work and love into this aircraft? Absolutely. Is it the same, let's take photographs and photorealistically texture our Coronado plane over and over and just pump out cool-looking planes aren't kind of perfect, but they kind of work? I mean, what's the difference? Do you want super-duper pretty, but kind of shitty? You got Coronado, right? 3-point landing. Oh, that was beautiful. Oh, God. No, don't tip over. Stay still. Thank you. I dare I'm breaking this thing now. Although I should have locked my tail wheel before we actually touched down. Let's taxi her off the runway here. Again, is it too expensive for what it actually is? I think it is a bit. Probably overpriced. Not by a huge amount, but maybe $10? Maybe, yeah. I'd say about $10. If an aircraft was worth $20, which is what the price of the Virtual Call Embraer 170 package was, this would be worth $20. That was worth about $5. This is a nice plane. I like it. Has it got faults? Yes. Decision's yours, folks. Thanks for watching. Bye.